Hello once again, welcome back to Herd Immunity News. I'm Marcus Botza. Today we've got a return guest, a fantastic man. We've got Mr. David Vance. David is a political podcaster and commentator. He has a fantastic show which we always leave the links to. But before we begin today talking about the world events and events in the UK, David, how are you, sir?
I'm remarkably well, Marcus. I've been relatively alcohol free for the month of January. Although the spoiler alert is my birthday's in the middle of the month, so there was one evening of having a couple of glasses of wine. But apart from that, honestly, feeling good. Exercising and keeping my mind as sharp as I can. Each year that goes by, Marcus,
Mm.
you have to work harder to keep sharp, and that's I do my best. So yeah, I'm looking forward to 2025.
Absolutely, and you're getting it off the flyer. Personally, you've got a fantastic event in London on the 30th, which I will be there, and many people will be there. It's going to be a great night. You've got Ben Habib, a dear friend of ours, and the lovely Kate Hoy, but we will come on to that at the end of
Yeah, it's
this
fine. Yeah, yeah.
interview. So first of all, let's look at the events of today. Prime Minister Keir Starmer has come out and admitted in a press conference earlier on this morning that he knew the details of the Southport murderer Axel Rudikabana. He knew of his downloading of Al Qaeda material. He knew that he was on the Prevent terror watch list. He knew that he had been reported 3 times to that terror watch list. And all the while, he knew those details, and his alibi is that he was doing it not to prejudice a trial, even though this is unprecedented that a trial of this kind, where you've got 3 murdered little girls, 10 stab victims, attempted murders, that trial has ever been threatened in any way. What do you make of what Keir Starmer said today?
Yeah, listen, I'm sickened, absolutely feel sick about Starmer and his regime today because everything you've said, Marcus, is on the money. I mean, he knew right. I can remember so vividly the news coming out about the slaughter of those 3 little girls. I can remember it like it was yesterday, and I remember the fact that myself, I'm sure you and your viewers, we all felt the same, a sense of shock, horror, and outrage. Yes, it's okay to be outraged about our girls being murdered, actually. And so, and then I remember so quickly what happened was Stormer rocked up to lay a wreath. I think he stayed for 17 seconds, I think, Marcus. 17 seconds, him and Cooper. And then he cleared off. And then all of a sudden it was all about the far right. And he was very concerned. I think he gifted 117 million to protect mosques and Muslims in general in the aftermath of what happened.
Mm.
And the whole thing was a deflection. People were asking simple questions like, what do we know about this guy? Was he a migrant? Was he Muslim? I mean, reasonable questions. And we weren't allowed to talk about that. And there's people, and this is what infuriates me. There's people behind bars right now. And all they did was they went on places like Facebook and expressed their outrage, some of them anyway. Some of them didn't even take to the streets. They just took to Facebook, and Stormer put them in prison. So this has been rotten from the start, Marcus. It's been rotten from the start. But today was the coup de grace. Today was, it all came out, like you say, he knew, the government knew, the security services knew, very sinister. They knew, they did nothing. They did nothing. And now the thing that again I found sickening was Yvette Cooper took to the airwaves to blame Amazon. Apparently, Amazon's to blame because he bought a knife on Amazon. So his parents aren't to blame. The culture he was in wasn't to blame. None of that's to blame. No, Amazon. And now Starmer's talking about this new form of terrorism. So, which the UK has, which apparently is incels in their bedroom. That seems to be what it is. People who like violence just for the sake of violence. Well, I'm not buying any of that at all. This is Starmer at it again, Marcus. Just in the start of a new year, he did it in August when it was far right riots, and now it's this new inexplicable form of violence. No, he's lying.
Well, absolutely. And many people are saying today, David, that when you suppress information that is in the public interest, especially when it comes to terrorism, you're actually placing the whole nation at risk of
Yep.
copycat style attacks. And other people are saying that it's this obsession that Keir Starmer and Labour, the Uni Party have, let's be honest, all the
Yep.
political parties do, perhaps with the exception of Reform in Parliament, with ESG, DEI diktats that say
Yep.
anything that's critical of anyone from another country outside this UK, anyone foreign born or anyone from the Muslim community, that constitutes Islamophobia or racism. So, what do you say about those people who say that Keir Starmer actually has blood on his hands now because he suppressed information, and by suppressing that information, he increased
Yep.
the security risk to children all across the United Kingdom?
Oh, absolutely. Those people are right. He does have blood on his hands. His administration has blood on their hands as well. And if you want to even track it back a wee bit, Ruta Kabuna's parents
Mm.
came to the UK from Rwanda post in the aftermath of the Rwanda genocide. There was a clue, and that was during the time when Labour were in government. It was during the Blair years.
Mhm.
So people like Yvette Cooper don't get to wash their hands of it either, because she was in government back then. So the roots of this, I mean, ultimately, if his parents hadn't come here, the girls would be alive. I mean, some of it's simple. You don't have to overthink it. But of course, they were allowed here in circumstances, Marcus, which still remain opaque. We're not sure exactly. Did they come in legally? Who decided? Who made the decisions? All of that stuff. And so it's just a litany. And you also made a great point. Although I'm enraged at Labour, let's be honest, it's the Uni Party. The Tories, didn't do anything either. For years, the British public have been left at the tender mercies of these terrorists, and that's what it was. This was an act of terrorism, and now all that the Labour can do is try to redefine what terrorism is, which is pathetic.
Well, absolutely true. And let's we forget that Prevent was set up under a Conservative administration.
Yep,
2015, I believe, the
that's
Prevent
right.
anti-terrorist group that looked at all of these aspects of people looking to do damage through terrorist activities was created in 2015. And time again, this has failed. The proposal from Starmer and Yvette Cooper today that they're going to have yet another review is sickeningly laughable. I mean, when
Yep,
you look at
yep,
from 2000, I'm just going to do a quick laundry list of some
yep,
Islamic linked attacks in this country. 1994, Palestine supporters car bombing. 2010, Conservative MP Stephen Tibbs stabbed. Westminster attack, March 2017, one dead. London bombing, 7/7 2005, 20 odd dead. Glasgow Airport, 2007. Drummer Lee Rigby,
mm,
2020, 2013. Manchester bombing, 22 deaths, 2017. Parsons Green bombing, 2017. Westminster attack, Manchester attempted murder, London Bridge stabbing, Streatham stabbing, Reading stabbings, 3 dead. Liverpool hospital bombing. Now put a little paper clip on that one because it involves Serena Kennedy as well.
mm, mm,
The
mm.
murder of David Amos, 2021, Hartlepool stabbing in 2015, the
Yep.
attempted murder of Colonel Mark Teaton 1 week before the atrocities in Southampton. And this is all under prevention.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, prevent's prevented nothing. It's Orwellian. Prevent has prevented nothing. One thing to be considered is, is it just sheer incompetence, right? That's one argument. They're just completely incompetent, or is it intention? So
Well, there's the question because either way, it's a distinction without a difference. They're either totally incompetent and lives are being lost because of their incompetence, they're turning a blind eye, or they're doing
yeah,
this intentionally. So
yes, yeah,
it's like a distinction without a difference. Now, we
yeah,
touched on the Liverpool hospital bombings,
yes,
attempted bombings, and that was off a maternity unit that was linked to an Islamist.
yep,
Also, we need to talk about Serena Kennedy. Serena Kennedy was the officer in charge who gave a press conference at 7 p.m. approximately. The officers from Merseyside Police attended Hart Place in Southport for the Criminal Act itself. So there's maybe a 6 to 7 hour window. In
Mm.
such times, Serena Kennedy took to the platform, David, and she said that this is not terror related. Now, Miss Kennedy would have known
Mm.
quite clearly if she'd gone to the property and spoken to the terrorist group, because the anti-terrorist team was there. The Axel, as we
Mm.
said, was on the prevent watch list.
Yep.
He had Islamic terrorist manual at home that he downloaded. He had videos that were showing things of beheadings, all of those kind of things. The ricin was there.
Yep.
Also, there was other literature there which all pointed in that direction. So
Yep.
we need to know from Miss Kennedy, David, do we not, what she actually knew or what she was instructed when she took to that platform, and who instructed her?
No, those are great questions. Absolutely great questions, Marcus. And we do need to know that. And I vividly remember her media performance. And I remember how shrill she was
Hmm.
and, how damning she was of the far right and
Yeah.
all of that there. And yet, as you say, there's reasons to assume that she knew that this actually was an act of terrorism, even as she was pretending that it wasn't. And this is part of the problem we have, Marcus, the institutional corruption
Hmm.
of policing across the UK, and an institution which I have all my life tried to support. I find it very difficult now when I listen to the likes of her.
Hmm.
I have no respect for her, like zero respect for her at all. And this is a problem. Is it because they're being instructed and the pressure is coming down?
Hmm.
But that might be part of it. Maybe these people are recruited because they're easily controlled. I don't know. But either which way, she's another one that should actually probably resign.
Absolutely. And just to kind of bring this section on Southport to an end, obviously this is going to go on and on and on
Mm,
for years.
mm,
Keir
mm.
Starmer at the time announced, as you correctly say, he blamed the far right without knowing any of the details of those people involved. They could have been Labour card-carrying members. They could have been Liberal Democrats. He has no idea of the voting um, stance and position of those people who were involved. And you and I repudiate all violence, of course.
Yes,
We're men of
absolutely.
peace.
Yeah.
But it should be said that Keir Starmer, or can I put it to you that Keir Starmer influenced and put pressure on the courts by saying he expected the full force of the law to be put upon these people. And the very same man down the line said that no one can speculate over this man as an Islamic terrorist.
Well, this is why Starmer's quite a dangerous individual. He has that years of experience as DPP, so he understands exactly how the courts work, and he's got all the right connections, Marcus. And that's why I think he was quite pleased last August when there was a mood of fear swept across the UK.
Mm.
Certainly on the online community, I know people were afraid to say anything lest the knock come at the door and they find themselves taken away and stuck in jail, separated from their families. Starmer delighted in that.
Mm.
But I just find that, like I listened to the stuff from him today and this new form of terrorism. It really bothers me this because you listed all those attacks, right? And there was a clear Islam connection there.
Mm.
Now, in this one, they're saying it was difficult because apparently it was missed because there was no specific ideology. But hang on, Marcus, he downloaded the Al Qaeda Jihad handbook. He watched videos of, for example, the London Bridge Jihad. I'm sorry, I'm not Sherlock Holmes, but I'm thinking this is pointing in one direction. Now, look, that's not proven, but surely it's worth investigation. And why don't we know? Did he convert to Islam or did he not? The parents' background, what do we know? All of that's being kept from us. We're being gaslit and being told, don't worry about it. It's a whole new form of terrorism, doesn't involve Islam. And I think that's all being driven entirely from the agenda of the Starmer regime.
Well said. And there are actually reports from within Belmarsh that Tommy Robinson had given out to his visitors that Mr. Rurikabana,
Yep.
this demonic entity, was attending a mosque. Now, this is unconfirmed, although other social media people have put their neck on the line and confirmed that he is. We don't know if it's true or not, but again, the narrative is that it's the lone nut. He's not an Islamist. He's just into killing. But
Yeah.
again, if we put the shoe on the other foot, if this was someone that had Donald Trump's autobiography and went into a mosque, heaven forbid that anybody ever do this, and
Hmm.
harm children in a mosque, you can imagine how quickly everyone would be rounded up in seconds and it'd be a far right atrocity.
That's right. Yep, it's a clear double standard, Marcus,
Yeah,
and we're being gaslit again by Labour. And it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. I
yeah,
think that more details will emerge. The
sure.
truth always gets out, and when it does, I think Stormer's going to become, increasingly put in a difficult position. And I'll be delighted to see that. But it
Oh,
doesn't bring back the wee girls.
no,
They'll not be coming back, and and
no.
and the acts itself, like I've read, maybe you've read,
Oh,
exactly what happened. I can't
horrific.
conceive of that level of
Yeah.
savagery, and it would never have happened had that guy's parents not been granted access to this United Kingdom from Rwanda.
Absolutely, and just to finish off on this, they did everything they could to sanitize this character. First of all, it was Taffy Jones, a Christian man from Wales. The
Yeah.
pictures, he was an angelic little child, and when you actually see the face, the demonic entity and the evil in that face, you know exactly why they couldn't put that picture out. But they've done it. They did it with Donald Trump. They put the mugshot out of Donald Trump. That's the narrative. You can't put a mugshot out of someone until they are summarily charged and convicted. Nonsense. Now, on to Donald Trump.
Yes.
Well, God bless and God rest those wee ones that died, and our prayers are with our
Mm.
families
Mm.
and those victims still living in the horrific nightmare of
Yep.
the
Amen.
Southport. I'm sure you'll back that up
Yeah.
as well. Yeah.
Absolutely, Marcus. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, Donald Trump, 47th President of the United States, from his platform on the 20th of February, he absolutely killed it. And
He
not
did.
only did he finish off net zero, not only did he restore his border control, not only did he talk and action Israeli hostage releases, not only did he say that he's going to bring NATO back to heel and stop the possible
Mhm.
World War III escalating between Russia and Ukraine in the
Yeah.
special operations, he is going to rebuild the Western world. Now, this was absolutely incredible, and he signed at least 200 executive orders on the stage.
Mhm.
David, what did you just make of yesterday?
Do you know, Marcus? I sat and I watched it all. I decided to take the day off and watch the whole thing because it was amazing. It was amazing theater for
Mm,
sure. But it was emotional. It was
mm,
touching as well because it is the restoration of America, and
mm,
I think that's wonderful to see. And he's the 45th, 46th, and
mm.
47th president, in my opinion, but officially 45, 47. And I just think it's great to have this man back in the White House, a real power for good. And the speech that he gave, in
Mm.
front of Biden and the rest, oh my
Ah,
goodness, that was so good. And there was bits in it I just gasped at. I mean, honestly, I've been commentating and stuff a long time.
mm,
It takes a lot for me to actually involuntarily go,
yeah.
when he said he was on the Panama Canal. That was a
Mm,
bit that got me. He says it's our Panama Canal
mm,
and we're taking it back. And I just thought, wow, America's back. And yes, the Gulf of America stuff, I get that. But it was just the power of the guy. He has a power, Marcus. In
mm,
fact, I think he's almost, it's unlike anyone else.
mm,
He's got a real power about him. He looks serious. He's kind of like angry Trump a bit, which is
mm.
good because this is payback time. And other things he's done that are good. He pulled out of the World Health Organization.
Yeah,
Hooray! Great
yeah,
news.
yeah.
He's told all federal employees
Hmm.
back to work.
Hmm.
You go to the office to work. Did you know that 97% of federal employees regularly work from home?
Hmm. Wow.
97%. So all of a sudden they're being told into the office.
Mm.
That's where you're going to work. So I mean, he stopped the offshore wind turbines.
Yeah,
This is the antithesis
yeah.
of, say, Ed Miliband.
Hmm.
So what I feel is I'm so happy for him. I've been talking to my American friends past 24 hours. Feel so happy for them. So good. Wish and I hope that the power of Trump will ultimately have an impact here in the
Mm.
UK as well. and sweep away the Starmer regime, and he's got the power to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, just looking at the mass deportations, the
Yeah,
scrapping of the Paris Climate Accord and the Green New Deal's gone.
yeah,
The Iran money is all gone. The money
yep,
to Ukraine is being
gone.
withdrawn.
Yep,
The
yep,
the tariffs and the trade war that he's going to have with any delinquent nation, including the United Kingdom, may I
yeah.
say. I mean, what did you make of the complete rebuttal of Keir Starmer and his whole Labour regime in favour of Nigel Farage, Suella Braverman,
Yeah,
and a
pretty
few
Patel,
collection
they're
of
all there.
other
Yeah.
right wingers?
Oh, I
What did you
loved
make
it.
of that?
I absolutely loved it. I love the fact that, I think Labour are living in denial.
Mm,
And maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not, but they seem to think that somehow or another things are going to be fine with this Trump
yeah.
regime. They're not going to be fine. They're really not. I mean, we've got all the receipts. Kate Starmer, Cooper, Lamy,
Wes
Rayner,
Streeting,
all of the
Sadiq
things.
Khan.
Well, particularly, but well, he's really challenging. I mean, he's basically, yeah. But the thing is that they think they can get away with it,
Mm,
and I don't think they can.
no.
And I've made a point of making sure that everything I ever post out, try to make sure that Trump, David Vance, my namesake, others see it. Elon Musk, so on the off chance, because with Musk, this is where Musk is such a pivotal figure.
Mm,
He is zeroed in on the UK
mm,
and on Starmer
yeah.
and on what's been going on here. And he has got Donald Trump's ear in a way that probably very few other people have. And I think it's all good. So
Mm,
I want to see the UK tariff to hell and back. I
mm,
want to see this government brought to its knees, and that will be done economically. And I support all of that because we can't afford, Marcus, to wait to 2029. It's
no.
too late. We'd be gone. So things need to happen before that. And the
Mm.
guy that can make that change, that can make it happen, is the guy that's now sitting in the White House.
Amen, David. Amen. And we pointed out the fact that he was signing executive orders on the
Yep.
stage. The ink wasn't dry after he had been sworn in as the 45th, as you say, the 45th, 46th, and 47th, because we all know
Yeah.
it was a robbery and it was a steal, but he
It
made it
was.
too
Yep.
big to rig.
Yep.
And it was great seeing the Trump Vance logo
I loved it.
all the way
Can
through.
you imagine? Can you imagine my delight in that? And also in my mind's eye, thinking
Yeah.
2028, who's it
Mm.
gonna who's gonna be president?
Well, a lot of people would like to see you as our prime minister.
Maybe,
I
maybe.
would vote for it in 10 seconds flat. But
Well, I would.
honest,
Yeah.
but
Great.
honestly speaking, the outlook is very positive for the West in general. You saw Miss Maloney was there. Obviously, Trump has very
Yep.
close ties with Mr. Orban in Hungary. These are the
Yes.
two main leaders, and these are the two main countries whose stock is already rising because he's going to go easy, how how and however he can,
Yep.
because they're tied to the yoke of the EU. But he's definitely got beautiful relationships with them. Do you think this could ultimately be the end of Keir Starmer? Is that Elon Musk's fantastic work that he's doing, exposing the grooming gang atrocities, and Keir Starmer's willful negligence in this area?
I think that as we go through 2025, things are going to get tougher and tougher for Starmer.
Mhm.
All it takes is, I mean, the UK economy's doing really badly
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah,
thanks to Reeves' budget back in October.
sure.
And that will become more apparent in April when I think we will start to go into actual recession.
Yeah.
But if you then imagine, Marcus, what happens if Trump put some tariffs on, or even if he doesn't. Like I
Mm.
saw Ursula von der Leyen from the European Commission talk, basically threatening Trump today, basically saying, "Well, look, we do 30% exports to you, you do 30% exports to us, so we need to find a way to get along." I don't think Donald Trump sees it like that at all. And I think she, again, a fundamental misjudgment from her. The whole Euro left, not Giorgia Maloney and
Mm.
Viktor Orban, people like that, but the left, the,
Macron, Schultz.
they haven't got, yeah, oh yeah, they haven't, those guys haven't actually woken up to
Mm.
what's coming their way. You see it, I see it. I guess
Mm.
most people watching this will understand that Donald Trump is going to make history.
Mhm.
And he's going to make America very powerful. I mean, he talked about the establishment of what is it? An an external revenue collection service. In other words, like, for example, take a country like Ireland, just for 1 second. Ireland. Ireland has grown rich on the taxes paid, funneled through companies like Google, Facebook, even
Amazon.
Twitter. Amazon, all based down Dublin. And there's vast sums of money going through there. And the Irish are saying, yeah, look at our economy, it's booming. But what if Donald Trump decides, well, actually, he needs to see that some of that profit going back into the US?
Yeah.
Would they decide to even stay in Ireland when the tax advantage would benefit? Ireland needs to be very careful, especially as it's been seethingly anti-Semitic. I'm sure you saw they plan to bring in their Occupied Territories Act. Did you see that?
Yeah.
They were going to bring Occupied Territories Act, and they were going to make sure that legally they could refuse to trade with Israel. Legally, European Union backed them up. International Court backed them up as well. Yeah. And guess what happened the other day? They just bend it. They bend it to try and ingratiate themselves with Trump. So, time's up for Ireland as well as time's up for Starmer.
Absolutely. And when you hear about this trading partner trash, you hear about how the EU is such a valuable trading partner. We have a trade deficit of 100 billion, a deficit with the EU of 100 billion. We get nothing out of it. They get 100 billion out of it. With America, we've got a trade surplus of 72 billion. And these Europhiles that you hear continually never bring up that point, David.
And it's a fundamental point, fundamental economic reality. The thing is, they've got away with fantasy for years. Now they're going to get a massive dollop of economic truth driven by Donald Trump and the people. Because, see, the other thing about, I remember 2016 so vividly when Trump came in, and we had high hopes, but he was relatively inexperienced. He didn't know who were the right people. He trusted people who let him down and betrayed him. This time round, that cabinet,
the swamp. He must drain the swamp this time, because not only did they try and betray him, they tried to kill the man.
They tried to kill him. Yeah, and he knows that. He knows that. He knows. Well, for example, he's talked about releasing the JFK files, the files about the death of Bobby Kennedy,
the J6 protesters, 1,500.
Yes.
They're being
they're all right, and the BBC's having a collect. I mean, I've got to say, I have been watching the BBC just to see, their salty tears, Marcus. They're so sad. I mean, everything's bad about this. He's released the J6 convicts, or as if you notice, Trump called them the J6 hostages. Did you notice that use of words? Trump's brilliant.
Absolutely, and it's an interesting point that one of our American viewers. We know that you've got tens of thousands, maybe more American followers to your great work, David. But one of our followers pointed out in American constitutional law, you have to actually be convicted first before you're given a pardon. So many of these 8,000 pardons were done without any summary conviction. And there's a constitutional point, or many points, that say you can't just have a black check to do what you want. For example, commit mass medical murder. Now, I'm not thinking of a tiny Italian doctor or anything like that, but there's more to this, isn't there, David?
Well, I mean, anyway, tiny Italian doctors have been pardoned. The Biden's final act was to pardon his own family. I mean, this is what got me. Joe Biden's the pardons that he's released, letting the people out of death row, all the stuff that was going on in the past week or so, and the media were quiet about it. Donald Trump pardons or releases the J6 hostages, and they're having a hissy fit. And it's the hypocrisy, I suppose, more than anything else. I don't necessarily agree with executive orders because it puts an awful lot of power in one person. But I understand totally why Donald Trump had to do it, because Biden and Obama have brought in so many of them. So I think the swamp's going to be drained this time. This is the best chance ever to drain it. And, everything I've seen, honestly, in the past 24 hours, it's just like, never mind Christmas.
Like your birthday, Christmas is all
isn't it? Yeah, it's sort of like my birthday, all rolled into one. And I'm thinking, there's
day there's a showreel. And God knows we need it. God knows we need it.
Because we do. When you think of what we've gone through because of the crooked Biden regime and the global consequence of that, But now I see that you've got America is going to drill, baby, drill.
Yeah.
All that stuff, the good stuff. Forget about net zero. That's not happening. I see that there, Marcus. And then I here and we're yeah, we're going to have net zero. We're going to have wind turbines and solar farms. And anyone, by the way, checking out, I don't know if you ever check the UK energy grid.
Yes.
It's always a good laugh. I checked it this morning. Solar power was giving us, 0%, and wind power was giving us 13%. And
Unbelievable.
the bad, all those terrible, oil and gas, gas was giving us 68%.
I
And I
know.
thought to myself, in 5 years' time, if Ed Miliband has his way, Marcus,
Yeah.
we'll not be able to do this because we won't have power. We'll be sitting in the cold. That's why we got to get this government out before they do the serious damage to the UK, and I think this is the best chance.
Absolutely, David. And we've had on Ben Habib, the former
Yep.
deputy leader of Reform and MEP for the Brexit Party. And Ben is predicting, when he was on our show, he predicted a complete sovereign debt crisis where we cannot pay
Totally. Yeah.
our
Yep.
debts. We're,
Yep.
we're, we're spending more than we're earning, and we're going back to the 1970s. But on Ben Habib, in the last couple of minutes,
Yep.
tell our viewers and listeners, please, about your fantastic event coming up in London in the next 60 seconds we've got.
Right. Ben Habib, one of the great thinkers, a really good guy, so sharp, so on the money. Ben Habib is joining Baroness Kate Hoey and myself and a few others on stage in London. Tickets are available, davidvance.net. Go there, come along and see us. We'll have a great night. And yes, there is a bar in the room as well. So yes, please come along. It'll be a good night. And we need to get this year going in the right direction.
Well, amen to all of that. And I believe it's going to be ESG DEI free.
Yeah, absolutely. Only two genders allowed.
Well, it's in London. God knows what will happen.
Well, yeah, that'll be a challenge to Sadiq Khan. He's not invited. I banned him from the event, actually, Marcus.
Well,
He
God,
can't
God
come.
bless you for doing that.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thanks very much for coming on Herd Immunity News again.
Pleasure.
I will have the pleasure of seeing you in London with your fantastic guests. And we recommend to all our viewers and listeners, please follow David Vance if you aren't already. And if you can do, get along to his show because it'll be the hottest ticket in town.
Appreciate that. Thanks so
David
much.
Vance, thank you very much once again for appearing on Herd Immunity News.
Thank you.